Thank you for coming to PUTTY. PUTTY is a live art talk show where we appropriate and distort the talk show medium, sometimes better than others. I try. I really try. We talk about art, material, and materiality, the material conditions in which art is made. So, knock knock. Plein air. Your order from the oxygen bar is ready. No, someone sent me that. Isn't that nice? I have writers now, guys. I don't need to beg anymore. So that's exciting. They're really good. I don't need joke writers anymore. I mostly need grant writers. I went out for like 45 minutes last night, and that was enough time to have like 4 people tell me that I should apply for one particular grant. So if you're willing to put in that work for me, I can absolutely give you a mood ring. There are definitely PUTTY mood rings still available. They've been charged up in the light of the miniature eclipse, micro eclipse, blood moon. They're mostly what I'm using to fund my upcoming tour. So mood ring sales are really meaningful. They gauge audience, participation. I don't know, just they show if you care, and that's important to me. I also am selling gun nuts today, which are, they're a novelty product that I was producing for a while. I recently unearthed a cache of just sort of they're political art piece. I really like novelties. I feel like I could continue to make them forever, and I feel like that was why I had to stop focusing so much on the object report, which was kind of like an opening column that I was doing here on PUTTY, because honestly that could just be its own show. In fact, I've been thinking about doing audio classifieds on WQRT, which is our community radio station, where you could call it and not just sell objects, but tell me about them. So if you have a raincoat with a really good lining, or I don't know, a beautiful dog with that you want to get rid of. I'm looking to start a new show. I don't know. I just feel like there are a lot of possibilities for community radio in Indianapolis that aren't really being utilized. I heard on 106.7 the other day, there's this show called The Loverman Show, which is romance and dating advice, which is kind of has a backdrop of sex jams. And I was thinking that I could also be really good at giving just kind of date ideas, because I have a ton. And so this is my new show. It's gonna be on WQRT. It's my date ideas. I'll start by telling them to you now. 1, go to the sock store in Nashville, buy socks. 2, spray paint a pot leaf on a water tower. This is classic mischief. If you don't smoke pot, you could also paint a regular leaf, like maple. 3, steal a bunch of money, fuck in a pile of money, drive a car on top of the pile of money, and then set it all on fire. If your date doesn't want to do that, they're not fun. What else? Oh, and then the ultimate date night is PUTTY. I feel like I set you up for a really good situation here, where it's it's on the early side of the evening. You get to take in some arts together. Later you can go and share your reflections. You can kind of dazzle one another with your takes, and then go home and conceive your child. If you want to make putty part of your conception plan, please tell me. I'll put it on my website. I don't believe in the concept of oversharing. I recently got some sponsorship for the episode from CICF, which is a local philanthropic organization. In the past, I've celebrated the people who have helped sponsor episodes by, in the form of, so I used to have this noodle horse. I don't know if anyone saw that ever. There was a noodle horse, which Sarah Urist Green, who's an art historian, dubbed Balloon Dog. Anyway, Balloon Dog has been put out to pasture. I'm sorry to report that it's kind of like that America song, but without the metaphor. So there's been a scholarship set up in the Noodle Horse's name to get instruments for kids in public schools. But I also wanted to show you that I have the Noodle Horse's cape, and CICF are thanked here. It's great of them to have a dynamic logo. Just, if you ever see them, tell them that this happened. I don't know. This is the only way they'll ever know. Vistaprint didn't sponsor the episode, but they might as well have, because they produced some of the objects that I'll be engaging with tonight, like these great note cards. There's one t-shirt that I got, it's $20, it's hard. You can find me later if you want it, don't buy a shirt. And then I also got this mug that I'm gonna drink Drano out of on the last episode of Putty ever. Thanks, Mr. Prince. Okay, I feel like I said enough. So I'm gonna get into interviews. The first person that I'm interviewing is a printmaker, a performer. She will be teaching us how to really appreciate a peach. If you could please join me in welcoming Liz Wierzbicki to the stage. We have dueling signs tonight. I don't think so.
Hello.
Yay! Yeah. Hi, Liz. Welcome to Putty.
Hi, Erin. Thanks for having me.
I've watched you sleep on the internet. Is that a date?
Absolutely.
So to clarify, that is in reference to your project, Sleep With Me.
Yes. So this project started in 2015 while I was at a residency in Slovenia to Clinic Studios. And at that time, I was interested in this culture of like fast hooking up. And I was investigating platforms like Tinder, OkCupid, Craigslist, Casual Encounters, rest in peace. The Sleeping Project spawned off of some of the information that I gathered investigating those platforms. So I made fake dating profiles, collected information, and surprisingly, there was a lot of content received that was very sexual, a lot of DTFs and nude pics. So my response was, I'm gonna invite a bunch of people to sleep with me. And I would send a link to people asking if they would like to sleep with me, and that link would direct you to a YouTube live event of me just actually sleeping for like the whole night. And this was a response to some of that information I was gathering. It was also sort of a nod to Sophie Call's work, a French performance artist that did a series in '79 that was called The Sleepers, where she essentially invited people to spend 8 hours in bed with her, and then she documented those experiences with photographs and written information. So I felt like I was doing a similar thing, but like in the virtual space, which I think is how we have intimate experiences often contemporarily.
How many times have you done the Sleep With Me project? So how many times have you broadcast yourself sleeping live?
Sure. I think it's been 5 or 6 times now. Yeah, and the other thing is they've always been in, I've never actually slept in my personal bed. They've been in like art contexts. So one was at the studio space at that residency. Another one was at the Purdue Galleries during a solo show I had up there. And then my studio and the Middle Space Gallery.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question kind of about like how you kind of approach like personal versus, performative life, or how you kind of like make distinctions there. Like, is there a persona that you kind of enter when you're doing the Sleep With Me project, or are there kind of like rituals that get you into that, or,
Sure. Well, I mean, I definitely, when I schedule an event like this, I try not to sleep very much the night before, so I'm extra tired. But in terms of persona, I don't think I think of it in those terms. I think I kind of see it more as a social experiment, and I'm more interested in like the responses that I get from those events. Like, I see that being the work more so than me actually sleeping on camera.
Some of the responses that you've had have been in the form of requests?
Yes, so a wide range of feedback. And it's been interesting because it's on YouTube. The audience is much different than the audience I had when I had it at Purdue Galleries in the gallery space. There has been an overwhelming amount of requests for me to snore, which I did not realize this, but this is as pleasurable for some people to watch someone snore, which, yeah, I have no judgment there, but yeah, was not aware of this fetish.
Have you been able to like respond to their request, or?
Yeah, I kind of don't engage with that. Yeah. I also am like, how do I make myself snore if I'm sleeping? I'm not quite sure.
How do you engage with feedback in general?
I usually don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that you will continue to do this project in particular? I know maybe as it runs up against kind of like being kind of over-sexualized, is that like, I don't know, does that interest you, or is that something that, a point that like you kind of want to split from, or is that, it seems like, if it's being absorbed by the fetish community, like, then what?
Yeah, that, I have reckoned with that a bunch. I feel like I could play into that. I could sort of do you guys know Breadface blog?
Yes!
Yes. So this woman who has an Instagram account, I think she has a YouTube channel as well. She just does a series of videos where she smashes her face into different kinds of bread. She identifies as a blogger, even though I see her as a performance artist for sure. But I think she has played into this fetish that she may have created, unless there's a bread thing out there before she existed. I don't know. But I don't think I'm interested in doing that. Yeah, I rather propose that we maybe engage in different kinds of intimate acts.
Oh, that's like a really nice transition to talking about the work that you started with your residency at Mass MoCA. So if you would be willing to give an overview kind of about, I know it was, yeah, tell me about it.
Yes. Early this summer I went to, I did a short workshop residency at Mass MoCA. And it was
all the artists that were involved all had individual studio spaces that you got to work in. And then it was also geared around this theme of mindfulness in relation to a practice of making art and viewing art. And it was guided by this artist, Zoe Hart, who all of her research revolves around this said practice. And the reason I engaged in this, I was interested in this, is because I was thinking about, I've been thinking about the connection between the mind and the body, or the like physical and immaterial self. But I was looking at it through a lens of like philosophy or neuroscience. People I were talking to were like, oh, do you meditate? Do you like do yoga? Ellery right here, one of them. And which I don't, but that was an angle I was interested in. So I felt like this mindfulness dialogue was something that I felt like necessary to engage in. So that has been very influential and a new body of work that I'm working on.
Just to kind of talk about the residency, I know you mentioned that you were asked to specifically engage with different art pieces in the Mass MoCA collection and kind of guide people through like a mindfulness practice, like around individual art pieces.
Sure.
So would you be willing to talk about that?
Sure, yes. Yeah, so one of we would meet as a group, all the artists, and then Zoe leading the discussions, and we would walk around the museum because we had full access to all the work in there, and we would engage in mindful practices that revolved around viewing different pieces. And it was sort of like, thinking about all of your different senses and how those things, becoming hyper aware of your emotional and physical state as you were viewing art. So I guess one piece that stood out to me was a James Turrell piece, Perfectly Clear, that it was a room that you had to sign up to go view this piece. They only let a limited amount of people in to preserve the experience of the piece. And there was a big cutout in the wall, lots of colored lights within the cutout and then on the opposite wall. And those lights would fluctuate between different hues. And when those hues matched up, the cutout disappeared, and it felt as though you were just the color, like you could like touch the color of the space, or you could like breathe the color in. So that was viewing that piece after we had this guided experience and tapping into our senses was pretty powerful. Yeah.
So the project that you've moved on to is around erotic mindfulness.
Yeah.
What's the title of it again?
I'm calling it Making Out Emotionally. And it is, thinking about guiding people in a practice of a intellectual intercourse with another being or form. So it is sort of the absence of physicality within intimate acts.
Would you be willing to lead us through one of your meditations?
I would, yes.
Our abbreviated version?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys an excerpt. I'm sorry, I haven't memorized this yet. And this is the first time I'm this large group to do this with, so this will be interesting. Okay, so this is an excerpt from a beginner's exercise in making out emotionally, and we're going to do this with a peach. This is why I've been holding this peach this whole time.
Is it important that each of us have a peach, or
no? You're all going to engage with this one peach.
Okay.
Yeah, and you will not be touching the peach. No, not that apple. Although you could, Sydney. I don't know, I'm gonna put it on this chair. Because it's important that we don't actually touch the peach. But it's here for your viewing pleasure. As I walk you through A practice in finding pleasure in emotionally connecting with another form. More advanced exercises would be done with another human being. We're not at that level yet, so hence our peach. Be aware of the physical distance that exists between you and the peach, and accept the possibilities of this space. Turn your full attention to the peach. Gently and respectfully caress the fruit with your eyes. Be aware of its physical attributes, but do not place any judgments or desire on what you see. Just simply become aware of how the peach looks and exists in the same space as you. Now release your visual observations of the peach into the air. Let the cloud of thoughts pass by and disperse into space. Now, again, without touching, pick up the peach and hold it in your hands any way that feels comfortable to you. Close your eyes and turn your attention to the weight of the fruit as you hold it. Imagine this weight not as the peach's physical mass, but as your perception of its existence. This weight existing as it relates to you. Accept the weight as a product of you, and allow the possibilities of the weight lightening as you accept the peach as it is, without desire, without expectation. Now focus your attention on how the peach feels. Become aware of the sensation of your fingertips as they move across the skin of the peach. Again, do not place any judgments or desires or expectations on this sensation, but simply become aware of how your body feels as you come in contact with the peach's skin. How do your lips feel as they slowly connect with the surface of the peach? Taste the peach. Turn your attention to the interior space of your mouth as the peach moves between your lips. Do this without allowing any desire for the peach to enter your body, but focus on how your body feels as you touch and taste the fruit. Now gather your physical sensations up into a form that resembles the body of the peach. Release that form into the air and let it float on a gust of wind of acceptance, moving further and further away until it disappears into the horizon. You can open your eyes. Oh, you're already opening your eyes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Is there anything coming up soon that you're excited about? Art projects on the horizon, etc.?
I will be at the Sugar Space in November. Come check it out.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Erin.
For the peach thing? No, I need the chairs for the next guest. The next guests, Putty, are the curators of 10th West Gallery. Please join me in welcoming Maria Behringer and Tony Quintana, aka QVC curators. Hello. There are microphones.
Hello.
Hello, Maria, are you there?
Hi.
Erin, where are you? Tony?
Hi.
Hi, great, I can hear you. Thank you for being on Putty. Thank you
Thanks
for
for having
inviting us. And thank you for recently completing your first year of curating at 10th West Gallery.
Yeah, basically.
Ooh, we're a year old now, everybody.
1 year old.
So that's significant, and I would be curious just to know what has happened in the last year.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Well, a long time ago.
in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, well, so 10th West was opened in November of last year with the Indie Collective, and then we had a few shows, and then in April, May, they split up, they went to different corners of the world, and Maria and I kind of took charge, and we started filling in the space with all these different types of shows that were just really weird.
Regional, emerging, anything as of now because of Garbage, our show Garbage, recently opened. Yeah.
So to back up, what was the Indie Collective? I know it was kind of a stable of like veteran Indianapolis artists.
Yeah.
And what was their initial kind of relationship to 10th West and what has changed?
Okay. Well, yeah, so it used to just, like what you said, all these veterans and like big pioneers of like Indiana arts were showing up at all these pop-ups, and then they had this gallery opportunity to like really settle in and show off their new work every month. And so that's kind of what changed, is like that pop-up appeal kind of just, they just didn't like having the gallery kind of show kind of, you know, feel. So we had to like quickly rethink and be like, okay, like if they're not playing around with us anymore, what's new? What can we make it into some kind of, so we kind of, well, just took charge. Want to go about it?
You'd been there from the beginning, and you have kind of a relationship with kind of an older generation of Indianapolis artists through Constance, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Oh, yeah.
Constance,
She's the best.
Yeah.
Gonna
Shout out to
Indianapolis.
Constance.
Girl.
If you could talk about, just to clarify for people who don't know,
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
your kind of relationship to Constance's art practice and
Yeah.
Well, Tony's
So,
been her number one. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, I've just been with
I
her
just
for,
always
like,
hear you say it. Like, Tony has been her number one for 7 years now.
Yeah.
And I was like the little intern last year that came in like, can I please help you guys? Can I come and help you? And then,
It was
so
getting
she's helped
intense.
both of us a lot for Tony, and then even me in the last year. Like, what the heck am I doing? But,
Yeah. So,
what is Constance's last name? Sorry,
Scopelius.
just clarify. Okay,
Scopelius,
so
yeah.
you've been her artist
Studio
assistant
assistant, yeah,
for many years, and then Maria started to work with you.
right, because the assistant.
yeah, I was the
needed an
Tony of
assistant,
for Tony.
yeah.
Tony.
Gotcha.
I was the chicken.
And so you've been able to bring some of like the institutional knowledge that comes with, you know, kind of being intimately involved with
Right.
like a, you know, older generation Indianapolis artists
Right, yeah.
work to this and kind of, but
Yeah.
also bring your own community with
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Well, like, and that was like a huge plus with me, is that like I'm not an artist. I really like, I cannot draw, I can't paint. I did not take like any studio classes. I took watercolor. I thought that was easy, and I just made black blobs over and over. But like, so I'm like trained in art history. I went to Syracuse for grad school to do art history, and all of them are just old, white, and boring. Sorry if there's white people in here. So. But like,
I think it was.
and so like that was like a good perk between like me and Constance, is because, you know, she's painting all the time, and I'm like, hey, can I like categorize your files, because that's fun. And she's like, sure, you know, I need someone doing that like chronologically, like art history of my life. So that's what I did. That was me. And then I needed an assistant because I could not like take on the loads of work that was just being thrown at us like every day. So I was like, hey, Maria, I need help.
So how have things changed as kind of exhibition-wise at 10th West? Like, I know you said maybe the last 2 exhibits that you've done have been an opportunity to really kind of like,
I mean, it definitely
showcase the
really
work you wanna show.
started with the Indie Collective, just really kind of like, there wasn't any like real direction, or just, we're just gonna kind of kind of pull together a theme, and it'll just kind of play itself out. But then we like, just through research and friends and the community, just me like being in art school, I was like, well, I know all these like different art people around town, let's give them a space where they can show. So we kind of merged the two in a way.
For sure.
The emerging is more younger, but I mean, we still want to give them a contemporary space to show where they can show aside these veterans, where they're also still making new work, but then you can be just in the same space and still doing your stuff, still playing baller, and like we're really believing in that. So
Yeah.
So kind of prioritizing like intergenerational.
yeah, it doesn't have to be
marriages.
like you have to be way over here, away from. You can be in the same gallery. Like there's still a relationship, no matter the age.
Have the older artists been comfortable with that, or has it been like a pretty?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
because
kinda
they also
shocking.
want to know what's going on in the community,
Yeah.
and they don't even know some of the people that we've brought in, and they're really just receptive of the art and culture.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
All the time, they've
Well,
been really
luckily, I
happy
didn't know
with
if
it.
they would be, but I'm glad that they were really like, yes, let's do this. So.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the younger artists that you've been working at have kind of like come to the forefront just with the last 2 shows that you've done?
I think so.
Yeah, we were able to
Yeah.
give like a lot of people a really good platform of being like, hey, this is your like either first gallery show or you're showing alongside like, you know, big names of Indianapolis art, and all of a sudden like the attention on them went from like this to, and that was really great for them and great for us because, you know, we got our names out there, they got their names out there, so it was just really exciting, and that's what we just want to continue doing.
Yeah. So I know that in addition to, I'm gonna back up. I feel like I'm curious what you'd like to see more of, kind of in art in Indianapolis, and what you'd like to see less of, and how you want to carve that out with your project.
Oh, what I want to see less of.
I want to see more of this.
Yes.
This is such a cool concept.
What do you mean?
Art show with Aaron Drew, PUTTY. Have you heard of it? It's so cool. I mean, honestly, like, just to have this even be a thing. Like, I grew up in Bloomington. We never had a thing like that. Like, the culture down there is still amazing because of the university. We never had an art show or a talk show, talk about art. I had to find them. I had to be like, oh, hey, I'm in art school. Do you want to be friends? Like, so this is just really kind of like bringing all the familiar faces I kind of know through Instagram or social media or just in person, just together to talk about art.
So a space where you can actually locate and see like people from lots of different places. I can and do see that happening at Temp West.
I hope so.
Yeah. Ooh,
Good.
okay, good. Because I can't
we're
see
always
it.
just running around like talking to potential clients or the artists, or just like go talk to them, and we're just kind of in the corner talking about SpongeBob and all that. So.
We can talk about SpongeBob in a minute.
Sorry. No, I don't want to talk about SpongeBob. But yeah.
I'm curious in your take of what you would like to see more of in Indianapolis art,
Wow, it's-
and or less of, if you want to.
Jeez, you
Go
know,
there
it's so
first.
hard because I think something that like Maria touched on, like I grew up in a little small hick town, Whiteland, you know, KK play, vacation.
Pants.
Whiteland. Yeah, White Pants. I'm the only like Hispanic family from Whiteland. True fact. So the joke was brown stain in a Whiteland. Yeah, oh, it's
All those
nasty.
white pants.
So like same way with Maria, like coming up to Indy, like 20 minutes north of here of Whiteland, I was like, oh my gosh, there's art happening. But like coming to like looking at like the gallery scene and like all these like really amazing things that we go visit like 24/7. So we see all these new cool pop-up galleries that are just happening all over this place. Like I love that, and I really want to see more of that because that was energetic, and we try to like, I know we're in a gallery setting, but that's what we try to bring to the gallery, just being like new and fresh and, you know, always kind of changing and making sure that, you know, we want to keep the crowds coming over and over, not just because we're in a gallery and we have to sell artwork. Like we want to be as cool as these spaces, showing like there is young brilliance in town that, you know, are hiding, but we just want to give them a great platform to do it. Less of? Oh no.
I mean,
No.
I guess that's a good thing that we are not seeing anything. We're like, can you not do that?
Yeah.
So.
That's true.
I know that in addition to being gallerists and curators, you're also energetic collectors of art. So I wanted to talk about that.
This one,
Oh
though,
Lord.
I have
yes.
just started. This one, it's inspired me to collect
Yeah.
in my house. But this one is,
But then I'm throwing it back
Giant
on
ass
Constance.
collector.
Like huge inspiration.
And it seems like that's kind of like a mission of your gallery to kind of inspire more people to collect. Tony, you said that you want to dye a modern day King Tut.
I do.
you'd like
Oh,
to
yeah.
continue
Yeah.
it. How do you plan to do
It's totally
it?
gonna happen. So I love children, don't get me wrong. I don't want my own. They're loud, they're expensive, gross, blah, 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 blah. But like, I've gone down, because like I keep getting all these artworks from all these wonderful artists, and like I love them, blah, 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 and I'm obsessed. And I like tell this story to Maria, it's like if I see something, I will talk about it for like a month. And Maria is like going insane.
Buy it already.
And she's like, just buy it, like stop talking about it, buy it. And so like I come up to the artist, I'm like, hey, don't tell me, I have like 50 pieces of art, can I add you to my collection? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, great. So, but like after like I started looking at my collection, I was like, I have a lot of Indiana artists like that are on that. Like I have a lot of contemporary cutting edge artists, and I'm like, I'm like, if I want to ship it to the IMA, like sorry if you're working at Newfields, I still call it IMA, but like do I want to ship it there and let it get dusty, or do I like want to take it with me like King Tut and
To the
just
grave.
to the grave and just be like, I'm gonna enjoy it in my like
The rest of
life.
eternity.
Exactly, for the rest of eternity. So I was like, I think I'm gonna do that, like build a little mausoleum and be like the art mausoleum, and then I can see it.
I feel like that's one of the more compelling arguments to collect art that I've ever heard. Like, just take it.
Okay, good.
Take it to the grave with you.
Yeah, I want to. Sorry. If you
I mean,
I
it would,
demand it.
it would be benevolent as opposed to, to donate it to a wing of the museum or whatever.
I mean, I'd love a name on a museum, but it'd be like entirely long because my huge Spanish name is like Quintana. I'm like, all right, yeah. Just go with me. Just come to the grave.
What do you collect so you said you collect Indiana artists. Is there anything else that you like, what are your collecting habits?
Like habits of like what I like medium-wise, or like habits
Yeah.
of like, oh, well,
How do you,
I started, well, it was like, first it was paintings, because I was like, oh cool, I can't paint, so I need to buy paintings, and then it turned into drawings, photographs, and like now I'm on a huge like sculpture binge, so if there are any sculptors in the room, come talk to me afterwards. I will buy from you. And then this one caught on, like immediately after I started purchasing.
Immediately. My boyfriend's mad because, I'm just bringing home stuff and throwing it on the wall. So he's appreciating it. He's also like, calm it down a bit. Let's slow down before you get to Tony's level where we have 50 pieces in 2 months. It's like, just tone it down a bit. Because he took, 6 years to build that collection, so. But, I mean, I have a piece from like an old art history teacher, and then Andrew Perry Davis. I'm going to plug him for the 800th millionth time. Amazing sculptor. Obsessed.
Has he shown it at 10 Plus as well?
No.
It's
It's a
a
dream.
get.
It's
Yeah.
a dream. And praying.
The dream could be
Please,
attained,
please somebody tell him to
be
show it at
realized.
10th West. But he's actually been in other shows that we've curated outside of 10th West at the Phoenix Theater. We do that show over there too. And he just submitted on his own. And when I got that email, I didn't care what was in it. I was like, yep, you're in the show. So I'm still able to have outside curatorial projects that we can include him in.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just honestly we both have very different styles, I think. It's not for curatorial purposes, but like what we want to have in our homes. I mean, mine's more like really bright and like kind of grungy and just kind of really obscure, and not that yours isn't. I mean, yours
Right.
but like we're just specific tastes.
How do your
So-
sensibilities or habits complement each other when you're putting together an exhibition?
Well, like he kind of mentioned earlier, I went to art school. I'm an artist. I'm a painter. I've done a lot of mixed media stuff. I kind of am more of a methodical thinker when it comes to the artist, and I just like to appreciate what they've done, like actually in the studio. I know that you do too, but I feel like I have that kind of back of the head sense of like, I know what it takes to do that. But like, I mean, I know you appreciate it that way too.
Yeah.
But he did art history, and I only know so much because this guy is just a friggin' open book, like names up the wazoo.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
He
big
knows his
compliment.
shit, so.
So like, and then same way, like when we're just talking or working on any kind of projects, like I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, and Maria's like, let's just do it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a really good idea.
Like,
Like,
oh.
don't make lists. So I make grandma lists all the time. I'm like, milk, eggs.
So I feel like you guys have rightly gotten a lot of attention lately and
Thank you.
doing a lot of interviews. I know you did a public talk at Newfields about collecting contemporary. I know that you've maybe been on Art of Matter. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about things you don't usually get to talk about on the average art show. So I did set you up for this when we talked in advance, where you were like,
Good Lord.
we like SpongeBob, Tony likes Costco. Like,
Oh my god, I forgot we told you that. Literally today, I will prove it on my phone.
Oh my god, I was about to
Tony
say,
sent me
I
a
was at
picture.
Costco 3 hours before this event.
Every day. He was like, "Oh no, it's happening already."
They have
and it was
Christmas,
a picture
everybody.
of, yeah, it was a
They
Christmas
have
tree.
Christmas.
It's Christmas, but I could immediately tell it
And
was
I
from
immediately
Costco.
went to a
I was like,
sales
"Oh, you're
associate.
Costco."
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah. Oh no, I was
why was I
mad.
surprised?
Yeah.
What would you
Always
do before
there.
this?
Exactly.
So maybe these are like the influences that people wouldn't necessarily like read on the surface,
Because
but are
I mean,
True.
we're professional. We'll do our shit, but we like SpongeBob. Right? We know SpongeBob. Talk to me about SpongeBob.
So I did bring up the episode, which I got to watch through Cartoon
Yes.
Research Laboratory, where Patrick is kind of a grizzled art teacher and SpongeBob is his student with an innate talent that he's trying to sort of rob from him. Do you want to talk about that?
yeah, no, it's Squidward.
It's
Squidward's our teacher.
Squidward,
See,
not Patrick. See, we know
yeah,
it's
we
SpongeBob.
know.
Yeah.
We knew it was Squidward when you said that word.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it was Squidward. He's the one that has that giant art book out. What does it say?
The rules
The
of
rules
art.
of art with that giant little beret on, and that is like we send that to each other all the time. Like, all right, this is us. This is. And the other one with Patrick and SpongeBob, where they're standing there looking, and they're just like,
Like
it's
thinking,
literally QB curators. Like if we could make that our image and still have people take us seriously, we would. But it's not gonna happen. But in the back of our minds, we know that that's really kind of what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we use that episode religiously, kind of like when we go to studios. It's like, oh, Squidward is like, maybe I'm the Squidward in this kind of weird team,
You're probably
because I'm like,
Squidward.
oh, we have to follow the rules. Like, we can't show someone with like a sculpture, and then Maria like hits a piece of stone, and it's so beautiful. I'm like, oh my god, it's so beautiful.
It's a beautiful metaphor.
It's a beautiful thing. It's so smart. It's so wonderful.
Talk about garbage.
Oh, garbage.
Garbage is trash.
Garbage is the show that's up right now.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have Patrick Driscoll, Matt Kroc, and Scott Sylvie from Georgia.
Yes. So
Delicious stuff.
yeah. So all of the artists, basically, when we like do concepts for these kinds of shows. So again, it's like word of mouth or people we know, blah blah blah. So I've known Scott for a few years now, and he was doing these crazy other paintings that he was actually painting flowers as kind of like personas of people. So he would interview you and be like, what's your mood? What do you like? Blah, 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 blah. And so people would be like, oh, you know, like sweet. So he'd paint like little sweet little flowers. But then all of a sudden, like overnight on Instagram, I'm watching, and he's like painting all of these like lunar cycles on pizza boxes. And I'm like, the fuck are you doing, Scott? Like, what? And then I message him and I'm like, what is this? And he starts talking about like, you know, it's, people don't like the connection between like this divine is like right in our hands, or you know, supernatural is like in our hands. And he was like, and conveniently I was like holding a pizza box like when that happened, and he was like, oh my god, the moon, I gotta start drawing on whatever I have right next to me, and it's a pizza box. So I was like, brilliant.
Bigger inspiration for garbage for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So like the title sounds kind of trashy and dumpy, but it's like much more when people can look at it for sure. So
Very
that's Scott's
conceptual.
land. Yeah.
When can we see it?
Right
How long is it
now,
on view?
let's go to the gallery, guys.
Yes. Believe me.
We have gallery hours every Thursday, Friday, 2 to 6. But if you really want to come in when you're working, just text us, call us, we'll meet you there. Because it's a really good show worth seeing.
Yeah,
So come see
so-
it. And we're also having a closing reception on the 28th.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Friday.
28th.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't even
Last
know
Friday of
what's
the
going
month. What day is it? But
We could also follow you on social media. But
on. Yeah.
true.
Tony and Maria, thank you so much for talking to me.
Oh, thank you for I'm going to do a quick plug real quick because Shamira Wilson is in the house and we are just so obsessed with her. She was in our last show in August and she's just one of the
Shamira, where you at,
nicest,
love? Where you at? There
most
she is over
talented
there in
people
the
that we know.
corner.
She's way in the back. She's
Shamira's
beautiful.
amazing.
She just painted a mural on one of the Jeffy Loops that the Arts Council was involved with, and me and Tony are gonna help her do a kind of mural revealing, mural reception for her on the 29th. It's a Saturday. We'll plug it on social media. You'll
Yeah.
see it. But I just wanted to give her a shout out because she's literally one of the nicest people we've ever met. Amazing.
An amazing artist.
So-
We love you, Shamira.
Love you, Champ Champ.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna take a little 10-ish minute break, and then I will come back and I will interview Chelsea Flowers, and Death Valley will play. See you later. Guess I should do that. It's just like I could just swing hammers with like Jimmy Carter all day, and I'd be so tired at the end of the day that I just wouldn't have any time for angst. and it would just be so simple. But then I like drank a margarita later, and I like read this Andrea Fraser essay, and I was just like, oh my god, I need to like be in the thick of like academic art discourse. Like, I need to be there. Like, that's the place for me. So I need your help. So I have a platform, and it's the show, and it's just time for me to use it, like, to divine the next move for myself. So I've created this system to decide if I should go to grad school or not. So, okay. Okay, so if you don't think that I would base an extremely important decision in my life on the opinions of some people in a bar flippantly thrown at me, you've never met me. So yeah, I need a person with a very sensitive arm. Oh, there's a sensitive arm back there. Look, I think, is it you? Are you the one? Do you feel like your arm is really sensitive? You should come up here. Okay. This is Lisa Berlin Jackson, people. Does your arm feel
All the time.
Okay. Good. That's what I need. I need that kind of energy for this. So I can make this important decision for the next 6 months of my life. I need to know my life path, and you all will help me decide tonight.
Okay.
So we'll start with something easy. And you can just sort of practice the sensitivity of your arm gauge. So this is an applausometer. Tonight's a gradometer. I guess, so when it's red hot, hops over that way. And if it's like blue, if it's tepid, that's gonna tell me stuff like, you should work on a farm. So anyway, I wonder what would be a good thing to start with. I probably should have done that. Do you think I should I do this show next month?
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, wow. Okay, well that's helpful. I already booked it and was planning to do it, but, and sent a lot of emails. I wonder if there's a way we could figure out what's like the more tepid response, just so we could have like a baseline. I don't know, maybe we should just hop into it. Okay guys, this is important. I need to know if I should go to grad school or if I should just keep on doing what I'm doing, thanklessly turning in the work day after day, living in Indiana, and bringing my show to you. So, maybe on the count of 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. That's a grad school. I don't know, that's weird. That's kind of tepid. I don't know. Where do you feel like it?
You already rocked it out, you don't need it.
For each one?
No grad school. Lifelong learner. Woo! Yes, grad school.
Okay, so
Teach grad school.
the arm was kind of telling me things, but okay. So no, I shouldn't go to grad school. Okay. Yes, I should go to grad school. All right. Okay. This has been really educational, guys. Thank you. Thanks for your participation. I'll take it under advisement. Okay. Well, some things that are definitely going to happen in the near future are Putty's doing a short Bloomington residency. So starting Saturday, October 6th, I'll be at Hopscotch Coffee. I'll be interviewing Peter Scheer, Matthew Batty and Rachel Acuba, musical guest to be announced. Also, the season finale of Putty will be Saturday, October 13th. There'll be artists Mara Jasper, William Kine, and the hosts of Art and Labor podcast, OK Fox and Lucia Love. Also, there'll be no musical guests. Yeah, deal with that. I think I'm gonna finally do kind of like a round table style cross conversation between the artists. Maybe we'll smoke on stage. It'll be followed by green screen karaoke. So thank you for your participation in this important aspect of my decision making. Still don't really know where we landed. My next guest is a performer who is traveling with a very large dice that hopefully we'll get to experience this evening. She's here from Detroit this evening. If you could please join me in welcoming Chelsea Flowers. Hi, Chelsea.
Hello.
Hi.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Not too bad of yourself.
Weird after that one. I'm still processing that. Did you cheer or?
I did, although I wasn't sure grad school for what. Like what?
Oh, I guess I could have clarified. I guess art.
Okay.
you don't like retract your applause?
No, it's still out there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for being on Putty. So I was fascinated by your work because you definitely use a lot of humor and stand-up comedy. You use karaoke as a medium, and you also do game creation, and those are all germane to Putty-related interests. So. So I specifically wanted to ask you about Checkpoint, and if you could give us kind of an overview of that project, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So Checkpoint is the, so it's a game. Let's see. Sorry, so it's been through 3 different iterations of it, and the large die that you see over there is like one of the final iterations. It used to be a board game, and then it was a very large wheel that was just really obnoxious to transport, thus the die is still really large, but a little bit easier to transport. And so it really is a rip on SNL's Black Jeopardy, and this question of subversion, what is pop culture, and what does it mean to ask a question, and knowing how to answer it, and also this notion of like we all have smartphones, or we have access to the internet where information is so readily available that like if you're not sure of something, you can easily type it in and just to figure out what the answer is, or also there's various answers. So it's kind of a mixture of all of those ideas, like boiled into a game that I hope is really fun, or that I think is really fun. So yeah.
I think the fun aspect is sort of like a funny, like, you know, there's slippery space like within the fun, because you definitely ask questions that end up being pretty awkward or provocative, and I know that there is laughter within that. So, like, I'm curious to know, how did you write the questions, if it was all kind of at once, if it's been kind of cumulative, and what questions have you added recently?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the first, well, it's been throughout time. Like, I think I first started in 2016. Is like when I first started like thinking of it and writing the questions, and I've been adding questions to it like ever since then. And yeah, so it's kind of like a slow burn of the addition of questions. And what's a recent question I've added? Also this game kind of goes away and comes out just because it's very like emotionally draining. Like I think it's a lot to put on like an audience to enjoy and to play, and I think like it really is really fun to see people's reactions to playing it. But then also like for me, being like the game master of it, like it's a lot of like, emotional labor that goes into it. So I tend to put it away at times. Let's see, what's a recent question that I've added? probably Beyonce related or like Cardi B related. That makes the most sense. Something about them. Oh, like what's Cardi B's real name? Okay, that's a good question. Yeah,
Gotcha.
identification. What's Cardi B's real name? Yeah.
So there are different categories. Identification is one of them.
I didn't say that. Yes, there's 3 categories on the die. We can see there's fill in the blank. There's identification. There's true or false. And then there's also a bonus component, which one thing that I'm working on with this game is that it's a little biased towards if you're able-bodied. So, and the bonus questions are kind of like physical challenges, so kind of making it more open to if you're not as able-bodied, then how can you engage in the bonus questions? And for example, a bonus question is like, stand on 1 foot for 5 minutes, or do 25 push-ups, or things of that nature. So yeah.
You said you presented it in several different venues, but you haven't acted as the game master in all the different venues. Other people have sort of picked up that role. Are there other ways? I'm curious about scoring, and I'm curious about like winning in the context of this game. So could you explain that process as?
Yeah, so scoring is like literally, so when there's an audience to it, the audience gets to decide like if an answer is good enough or if a challenge was completed in a well enough manner, like inspire applause, and like we'll say, yeah, that's cool, you get a point for it or whatever. And so typically like, if it's like a question and a bonus, then it's 2 points. If it's just a question, then it's 1 point. And so it's pretty just like, arbitrary in that sense. And what was your other question?
I was curious about how it changes when other people host it or when other people present it.
Yeah, oh no, so it's definitely like just other people's like interpretation of it, of like a response. Like I have like a suggested response on the back, but also like there's a lot of fluidity within it. So it's just like, if you have an additional answer you want to add to it, then it's absolutely like it's an option for it. So it's really cool to see other people be the game master, because it's just like it's their personality, it's their persona really going into like conducting this game.
How long would you say it takes to like complete or win?
Oh, has anyone ever won? I don't know. I've done it for like 2 hours. I don't know if we ever actually came to a conclusion if anyone won or not. So that's to be determined.
Yeah. So I will get to revisit Checkpoint, experientially, I guess. But I wanted to ask you about War on Partying, which is the new work that you're making.
Yeah, it is. A War on Party. Yeah, sorry, so the language for this is like always like, it's always developing. Should I just talk about what it is? Is that what
if you could give us an overview first of all.
Got it. Yeah, so I think crack is funny. Like the idea of crack as a drug is really funny to me. And thinking about how it's impacted my family and those who I know, I was really inspired to give Ronald Reagan full credit for his contribution to crack in America. So I've been throwing him a party or like a roast. It's full of decorations, his face on a balloon, there's a cake with his face on it. It's usually like a marble cake with like a butternut icing on it, and the text, like, and then I have like a baker, because I can't bake, I don't believe in that. It's not a real thing. So yeah, I'll have the baker like kind of do their own thing, but it's usually like a sheet cake or like a double layer cake with his face on it, and the text says a war on partying with Reagan's face on it, just to clarify that sentence. And let's see, there's balloons, there's cake, there's entertainment, I'm the entertainer for the evening, and there's goodie bags that have all the components you need to make crack. The government was kind enough to give me, I applied for a grant. And they gave me some money, and I bought some Coke with it. And so in each goodie bag, there's like a little bit of everything you need to make crack, minus the water. You can provide your own water and your own spoon, or your own pot, however you want to make it. But yeah, so goodie bags, cake, balloons, etc. Thanking Ronald Reagan for his contribution to crack in America.
You said that this was actually inspired by your professional history of being a party entertainer, which is really fascinating to me, because I love to know how people's work experience informs their art experience. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I worked for this company where I was a birthday party entertainer that was for children, to clarify that, because people get a little weird sometimes when I say that. Yeah, so people spend so much money on like their children's birthday party. And for like when I was 5, I don't know what I did for my birthday. Maybe Mickey Mouse came to my house. I don't know, but just like this notion of like this crazy extravagant like celebration, and then I also like conducted it. Like I was just like the whole evening I was just like, I do this, then I do this, and then you do this, and then it's just like really like laying it out step by step. So all the parents had to do is drink and be merry, and I was really the one like conducting the party. And so that really carried over to the notion of the Ronald Reagan work, because like it is a very curated evening where it's like first you come in and you enjoy like the setting, like the installation. Then there's the performance, then we cut the cake, then there's the goodie bags, and I say goodbye to you. It's very much like a orchestrated evening, which really comes from that work.
And the roast is kind of part of that.
Oh yeah, the roast is the entertainment. Like as I'm roasting Ronald Reagan, it's like a good chunk of the entertainment for the night.
Yeah. What do you feel like, what makes a roast kind of different from the, I don't know, other stand-up comedy, like, or other stand-up comedy that you do even, like?
Yeah, so thinking about a roast, I think at least like from the roasts that I've seen that I've been a part of, what makes it really fun is that the person's presently there. And so whenever I'm doing this work, I like to acknowledge that Ronald Reagan's ghost is, he's always with us. He's somewhere in the room. So I acknowledge that within the performance, and then from there we just have at, or I have at it as far as a roast goes. But yeah, it's kind of, it's like a tinge of personal mixed with like some meanness in there, which kind of varies from like, I don't know, my stand-up comedy is like a little, it is slightly personal, but less mean, more self-deprecating. So I think maybe that's where the differentiation comes from.
No, I think that's a really succinct, like, distinction between like roast and stand-up comedy, where it definitely does seem to be like turned in on oneself more than, the audience or one specific person. What else tends to be kind of the content of your stand-up comedy?
I enjoy feedback from individuals. So like usually I like, not just with the Ronald Reagan work, but I want to say in previous work, I've been like, I'll like ask, because I also taught, I taught middle schoolers that they're the worst children. Children are the worst, like teenagers. They really are just like, but so like the whole like, nonverbal like thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down for clarification. And I did a whole, what is it? 1, 2, eyes on, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, 1, 2, eyes on you kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that with the audience just to make sure I've got their comprehension, because I'm an asshole. But yeah, just getting like, I'll ask like, I have a joke it hasn't failed every time, it just hasn't done well every time. And it's about slavery and relating it to the Titanic. And so like, I last performed this work in Philadelphia, and I was like, all right guys, let's pause for a moment. How do we feel about slavery and the Titanic? And like also just for me to learn from the performances, like the feedback is very helpful. And honestly, for that joke, I'm still not sure if it flopped or not. I don't know, but yeah.
Oh, so you ask people to actually rate how
yeah,
their
oh
joke
yeah,
went over.
sorry, yes. I'll be like, give me a thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down, like how did this
Keep
do?
it, like, chuck it, like, and do you take that under advice?
Oh yes, I have notes. I like write notes, I'll like write little comments, yeah.
Feedback is a gift.
It is, it really is. I'll share probably the funniest feedback I got was when the first iteration of the Ronald Reagan work, I did it in Cleveland, and a dude in the audience just like couldn't have planned it any better. He worked on Ronald Reagan's campaign actually for his second term of like running for president. Worked on his campaign. He's also a priest. I poke fun at California and how God hates California, and I list all the reasons why, like weather, like cost of living. There's one more reason I forget why, but it's a trash state. And so I've been talking about that. Oh, and he's from California, so like priest from California worked for Ronald Reagan, and so I'm poking fun at all these things. And then at the end, I'll ask, any other comments, and he's like, I didn't appreciate any of it, with like a straight face. And I was like, all right, sir, well, thank you for your feedback, but you're a little too biased. I'm just gonna ignore all of that shit. Yeah, but it was a great moment.
I feel like I want to ask you a question about, so I noticed that there was a job at Newfield, which is the Indianapolis Museum of Art here, and that it was for specifically hiring for art-themed birthday parties for youth from ages 2 to 12. And I was like, oh my God, should I do? I was like, this could be a really good performance outlet. And my friend was like, no, it won't be. She's like, don't do it. But if you were to design kind of a party context for youth at this specific art museum that you could sort of funnel into a performance outlet, what would you do?
Oh man, well, it depends on the collection. I haven't extensively. The website's kind of weird where I couldn't look at the collection as thoroughly as I wanted to. So I was just looking at it for like a different thing. But if I could, I feel like, teach kids while they're young. I just feel like let's let kids know that Picasso was a dick. Like, let's not romanticize him. So for the party, I have a game called Wife Beater, Molester, or just like Murderer. And I'd have them, so like we could throw Carl Andre in there. Yes, that dude, yes, and like Picasso in there, and who else? There's more people, but yeah, I would, if they're in that collection, I'd be like, hey, let's go around the museum and find these artists, and this molester, like Murderer, Wife Beater.
You could have tokens that you create, and then people could get the tokens.
Yeah, that'd be a great birthday party. I'd be learning.
Well, we've got this dice with us. Should we try out some Checkpoint?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for the excitement up there. Yeah. That's kind of neat. If the die is too large, I acknowledge it's obnoxious. Well, one, let's say, so her name is CP. I've had her for over, I've had her for a few months now, and so she's been through a lot, so we do have to be gentle with her. Also, if y'all didn't notice, she got really crunched while going through the door, so she's, a little precarious, but yeah, we absolutely can. And if rolling her is a pain in the ass, we can always just pull from the little jar that I have.
So we clarified that no one will ever win, or at least that no one has yet. So should we maybe just do a couple questions?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm just gonna feel the type of questions.
Okay.
So would anyone like to roll? Anyone strong, silent hand? Are there any teachers out here? Okay, all right, as you're the first hand out there, so come on down. Let's give her a round of applause. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm gonna demonstrate because it's how we do. Are you a teacher?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna demonstrate and then I'm gonna have you.
Thank you. I respond well to that system. Yeah.
All right. So what's your name?
Sydney.
All right, Sydney. Yes, thank you, Sydney, for participating. So I'm gonna put this down for a moment. Can everyone hear me if I don't talk on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. So. Oh, gee whiz, this is a tight squeeze.
You guys are fine, right? If we just throw it on your lap, it's no big deal.
We'll be okay. So you want to tilt it on its side.
Okay.
Is it possible to tilt it? And then you just kind of
Spin it. S.
Yes. There. Yeah, let's bring it up here. Kind of sit up there. Am I going to clear the lights?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so on its side. And then, it's going to spin it. Help you hold it from a corner. Okay. Do you want some help spinning it?
Yeah, maybe.
It might fall on y'all. Is that okay? Okay, you ready? Oh, sorry, I bumped into me. All right, true or false? Here we go. All right, and so now your question. Oh, true or false with the bonus.
Am I still participating?
You are, yes. This question is for you.
Okay.
True or false? Oh, Ronald Reagan hated jelly beans.
No, he loved jelly beans.
Yes,
Oh,
it's false.
thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Shall we do a few more spins? All right, any other strong, silent hands that you, I think you were the next hand I saw? Yeah.
You didn't get to do the sensitive arm bit, so yeah.
All right.
You're in the crowd participation.
Is enough space? Do you need help spinning it? Sorry about the chairs and the humans. It's free. Identification. All right, let's grab all these. All right, All right, should we go this way? Let's go this way. That one's a little heavy. All right. So, identification. What day did Beyonce turn black? And I mean, well, from our audience. All right. So we got. She's always been
What
black.
day did Beyonce turn black?
Yes. Thank you for that.
Oh,
Thank you.
1998. August 4th? Or 3rd?
When she married Jay-Z.
All right. So.
So we've got August 4th, we've got when she married Jay-Z. Looking for a very specific response, or she's always been black, which that's an interesting one. I actually haven't heard that one before. I'm going to add it to the docket. Are there any other thoughts or ideas as I'm turning it to the audience? Looking for a very specific date.
September 4th, 1981.
That's when that's her birthday. All right. Oh no, I'm saying yes. Are there? Anybody want a hint? Just do what the card ones?
Yeah.
It's sports related. Yes, Super Bowl. That is correct. So the Super Bowl. Yes, that's when she turned black. Yes. All right. Thank you. Yes. But I do appreciate her birthday, or she's always been black. I have not heard those responses before, so which is kind of silly. That's a mental note for me. Thank you for that. All right. I'm gonna do one more roll. Yes. Did anyone else want to roll for our last spin? I don't know who Liz is. Liz. Oh, you Liz. I don't know if there's a different Liz up here or not. Liz. Oh, so not Liz? He's already played it, not Nick. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, Liz. Okay.
Is this what you guys do in grad school?
Actually, that and blow fireballs, yeah. That's why you should go to grad school. Blow fireballs. On one side. And then let me just get out of your way. Yes, please spin. Go on, good spin. What are we at? We did. What haven't we done? We're gonna fill in the blank. Oh, fill in the blank. All right, we haven't done that yet. All right. And all right. So for the final question, what's this? Okay, we'll do this one. So according to the Yin Yang twins, one whistles while they blink. All right. So we've twerk. Yes, that is correct. One, you whistle while you twerk. Yes. Thank you. Everyone, a round of applause. Should I walk away or should I sit back down?
I think we could.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Chelsea, thank you so much for playing your game. Thank you so much for certainly bringing the most unwieldy objects we've had on the Putty set, which is, I don't know, it's saying a lot, it's exciting. What else are you looking forward to in the near future? Where could we see you, etc.?
Oh, well, I'll be in Ohio. I'll be in Columbus. I'll be in Granville, Ohio, October 26th. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I have shows coming up. Yes, there you go. That's the words that I'm trying to say right now. I have a show opening at Denison University. They have an art center there. It'll be on their campus, October 26th. If you're in Ohio, there'll be food. Yes, and there'll be karaoke, so you should come and you can eat the food and enjoy karaoke. And then also I'll be in Kansas City, Missouri, November 2nd. It'll be the Ronald Reagan work. I'll be figuring out if my jokes are funny or not with the audience. So if you happen to find yourself in Kansas City in November, please stop on by. At Front Space, there you go. Front Space in Kansas City, Missouri.
Thank you so much, Chelsea.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if you've been keeping track, you know that this is the part of Putty where I interview our musical guests. So if you could please join me in welcoming Death Valley to the stage. We'll chat and then we'll play some tunes. Hi, Ariel. Oh, is it happening? Is it just by this enormous
Here we go.
cube?
Hi, Erin.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
Your puffballs are truly astounding.
Yeah, I think this dress may have been a Skittles costume, but I'm not sure.
Wait, a what?
A Skittles costume.
Nice. Wait, that you wore or didn't wear?
No, I did not wear it.
So it's a Halloween costume that turned into everyday wear.
That's a theory that I have.
I feel like that's some of the best clothing.
Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you.
So thank you for being on PUTTY and talking about your project Death Valley. So I wanted to ask you about kind of the origins of Death Valley. How did it start? And then I wanted to ask you about kind of like what emotions compel you to write.
Okay, the origins of Death Valley. I started doing this project the spring of 2017, so spring of last year, and I had been playing in a few bands based in both Northwest Indiana and Chicago. At the time I was playing in Plastic, which was a synth punk band from Chicago, and I had been talking very loosely about wanting to do a solo project and kind of telling everyone that I had all these big plans to do this project. And then I got asked to play a show, which was a showcase for solo artists in Chicago. And yeah, essentially for this project that I had ideas for called Death Valley. And I said yes to the show despite not having any material written or recorded. And so that was kind of my jumping off point.
The external deadline,
yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Deadlines are really important to me because I work best under intense pressure. That's like, yeah, that's how I get shit done.
Do you feel like that's the emotion that compels you to write most? Just like, you know,
just the anxiety of having to have something written? No, I don't know. It's something that happens really organically. I don't know, there's like a very wide range of emotions that influence the process. Anxiety is definitely one of them. Just like an anxiety and like a feeling of like needing to create and like just like a compulsion to create mostly. Just like feeling like it's something I need to do.
I guess we also kind of talked about boredom being like a
Yes.
place that, you know, art comes from, and I'm always interested in talking about boredom. But
Definitely.
in particular, like when you started, I don't know, when did you start writing music and kind of?
So I didn't start writing music on my own until I started this project. Pretty much how I learned how to write songs was playing other people's songs and learning other people's songs, and that's how like the gears sort of started turning in my own head, and I started to figure it out for myself. I don't have like a background in music theory or anything like that. I want to learn more about music theory going forward, but yeah, that was pretty much the jumping off point for me as far as that goes.
I know you've spoken about Death Valley being kind of your pop persona, or kind of like,
Yes.
I guess this kind of gets back to the question I was asking Liz, kind of about like performance persona and how it kind of is different from yourself.
Yeah, with the whole performance persona, I mean, it's more or less just been a way for me to cope with like having to perform, because I'm someone that has a lot of anxiety, and it's not something that's come easily to me. Like, I've never really been like a natural like performer, so I've sort of had to like force myself to like put myself in situations that make me uncomfortable to sort of, yeah, get more comfortable doing those things. Yeah, just because like performing live, even in the context of a band, was really terrifying to me at first. And I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and it's gotten a little bit easier, but I don't think the anxiety of it is ever gonna go away fully or anything. But the idea of like having like a performance persona sort of like alleviates that pressure a little bit.
I feel like it's important for, you know, pop stars to have like pretty great music videos. So I'm curious if I don't think Death Valley has made that foray into the visual medium,
No.
and if you did, where would it be? What would it look like?
Yeah, when we talked, I told you I had a couple different ideas for music videos. One of them that I had was that I really wanted a basketball music video, just me playing basketball, like amid one of my songs playing. Like, I feel like it would be really dreamy. Yeah, I told you I wanted to shoot that video. Well, I'm originally from Northwest Indiana, like 15 minutes outside of Gary, which was Michael Jackson's hometown. There is this abandoned church in Gary that's really beautiful and has like ethereal vibes, but there's a rooftop basketball court, and that's where I wanted to shoot the video.
That sounds super dreamy. Yeah.
Maybe it'll happen someday.
Yeah. Should we talk about punk house naming?
Yeah,
I feel like that
I like
was
that
kind of like when I met with you the other day, you were coming from your house, which has a name that kind of it can't shake, and I wanted to talk about just the politics and process, best practices for punk house naming or punk house name eradication. So
yeah, I don't know if I can really speak on like the eradication part. Well, yeah, like you said, also I live in a house that's called God's Pussy, and it's something that, yeah, it was named that like I think years ago, and it's like not any of the same people anymore, but it's just like a name that we can't get away from. Like when I got hired at my job, my boss was like, "Oh, you live at God's Pussy, right?" And even my parents like know it as that, and none of us are even really like that thrilled about it. But and yeah, we've like discussed like naming it something else, but I don't think anything else will ever stick, unfortunately.
I think it's wonderfully iconic, and I don't know why you would ever want to get away from it. But does the show or does that house still function as a show space? Are you still?
Not currently. I've lived in Bloomington for 6 months now, and I got to play 2 really fun shows in our basement. One of them was with Bad Psychic, who is Liv Mershon. She just relocated to Chicago. That was really exciting to me because she was actually part of what influenced me to do this project, like seeing Bad Psychic play when I would visit Bloomington a few years ago. Like, I don't know, I was a very big fan of Liv, and I was really excited to get to play with her. Yeah.
Well, we can clear some stuff out of the way, and Valley can play now.
Sure.
Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah.